playing guitar.
Because I feel like it.
But we're live.
Are we live?
We are live.
To whom?
Well, to the recording.
Shit.
Yeah.
All right, you want to bring us in then?
So is this the 41st or the 42nd?
It's the 43rd.
43rd, right, because I wasn't there last week. So 43rd episode of the Bastards Council, and we're two. It's the first one-on-one, and it's not an orgy.
It's not an orgy, and you know what is going to be good about this? It's direct communication.
Direct.
Duh. Anyway, so I have a few things. We have a few things to discuss this week. I want to break it off, or start it off with Gibson guitars. How much do you know about Gibson?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Except that they're guitars, but I don't think.
So if you,
I don't feel like there's many metalheads that even use.
There's actually a lot
Gibson.
more than you think.
Really?
Yeah. Because more underground wise and like big people.
Really?
Yeah.
I always thought it was the reverse, but I always thought it was like in the rock genre. But then again, I don't know guitars well.
It is, but because like Les Paul and Slash, and they basically
forget about Les. Yeah, I guess.
But if you were to more on this side, if you were to give like a review of it just by what you've seen and what you've heard, how would you describe Gibson in the guitar world to musicians?
Me?
Yeah.
I have no fucking clue. I don't even know who plays Gibsons. Name me bands and I'll tell you.
Well,
I like this.
Okay, not even if
okay,
someone
who does
wants to
the flying V? See,
Judas
I don't know
Judas
shit.
Priest.
Okay, no, but I mean, I meant like guitar wise, like who's
Gibson.
the brand?
Gibson.
Oh, so it is Gibson.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is. Okay.
So if someone were to ask you, "Hey man, I want to buy a Gibson. What do you think?" Well, what's your initial like? You have nothing.
Well, now that you say that, like, I think automatically of like James Hetfield. I'll think of a lot of metal guys. Actually, Machine Head, I believe.
Would you recommend buying a Gibson? Is what I'm saying.
Dude, I'm not a guitarist. It's like,
okay,
I don't know shit. If you were to ask me about microphones, then I would tell you, yeah, go with an SM58 for vocals.
Okay, so once upon a time, Gibson used to be like the Sures of guitars, right? They're high-end guitars. They're expensive, and they have what's the word I'm looking for here? You have like a rapport with everybody, like you're never gonna go wrong with Gibson type of thing.
But okay,
I've never shared that sentiment.
Ever? Why?
Before I actually played one, yeah, I was like, yeah, Gibson is the best, dude. Like, if you're gonna go with anything, you gotta buy a Gibson. And I was always a fan of their looks. Like, I loved the SG. It was the first guitar I ever bought. It was a Gibson SG ripoff. It was by a guitar company called Barracuda. I got heavily made fun of for that in high school. I have a Les Paul. I have an Epiphone Les Paul. I like the looks of their guitars, but like until I actually got to pick up a Gibson and play, I was more on like, yeah, they're the best. You got to get those. And then when I actually played them, I was like,
but what is it that you don't like?
Well, I don't think that they were worth the price of the guitar, like $2,000, $3,000.
Right.
You don't like. You're gonna get a certain sound with them because of the pickups.
But now, is it something that? But okay, is it something that it's the new guitars or even like the old guitars?
Admittedly, I haven't played an old guitar.
Okay.
Like the Gibsons that I played were probably like 10 or 15 years old, but it was still post. No one is like, it's a '94 Les Paul, dude. They're amazing. No one says that. You're gonna go over like the late '60s and stuff, and I haven't actually played those.
And what pickups do they use?
Mostly humbuckers. You have a few different varieties, like the P90s and stuff like that.
I know, Void Within. Like I remember, well, the guitarist that we had before George, he was very much into Bet to Death, like the band, and Chuck Schuldiner used the DiMaggio pickups.
Yeah.
So I forget what guitar he had, but anyways, he changed the pick. I think he had EMGs. He hated them, and he switched them for DiMaggio's.
So Armin has actually I've played Armin's Gibson SG. It's an old one. I don't remember from what year, but he said he got a really great deal on it. And I played it, and it was and it's nice, but it's not even his main guitar. It's a guitar he keeps at home and he plays, and he loves it, but he'll never play live with it. I don't know if there's a reason for that. Like it's just not giving him what he wants, or he just wants to keep it away from harm. But for me, the only problems I've ever had with my guitars have always been has been my Epiphone. Yes, Epiphone is like the Kia version of a Gibson. So you have Hyundai, then you have Kia as lower end models and stuff. But the Epiphone that I got was made to be a Gibson, but there was a defect in it that they couldn't sell it as a Gibson, so they made it an Epiphone and had a discount on that. So I got it for like $400. The defect was that I had a slight warp in the neck and I had to use a size 11 strings. Now I'm glad I used size 11 strings when I was like 15 because it made my fingers super, super strong for everything. So when I switched back to 9s, I was just immediately better than most people because I could bend super without any resistance. It was like amazing.
Right.
But the guitar crapped out on me. Like it started, I started giving fucking big problems with it. Like I couldn't, I put the jack in there and it would give me an issue and I wouldn't give me sound and I kept cutting out. And then we had to completely pull the wires out and it just failed.
But now you said that like Gibson like changing or something, or they once were, like what happened?
So the whole point I'm bringing this up, why I'm bringing this up is like there was an article about Gibson guitars this past week and why the guitars from Mastodon stopped playing them because he was a Gibson player. Now I felt this for a long time. I played them. I went to stores and I picked up Gibsons, like $4,000 Gibsons, and I was just like, I don't understand why people are so fucking big into this. First, it's hard. Like if you're just thinking as a musician, yeah, they're good. They're all right guitars, but for the price, it's not worth the value.
Right.
You could do whatever you want on them, but you can do. It's not like it's harder to do it than anything else. It doesn't make playing easy. And then like even just thinking sponsorship wise, I'm already not getting the $4,000 value out of it. Everyone who's anybody knows what a Gibson is, for at least a guitarist, and to get an endorsement deal from Gibson is incredibly fucking difficult. You got to be someone like really rising at the top to be able to like Gibson to give you a guitar. So I'm thinking about these things and it seems very shallow, but it's like at some point getting guitars, you're gonna need to be able to play new switch out guitars and for whatever sound that you want. You can't just have the one guitar. So like if you go to any of the newer guitars, Schecter, your BC Ridge, Jackson, they'll be easier to get a sponsorship deal from, and they're very, very lenient with how many, like they'll give you 2 free guitars a year and whatever. And to me, those my favorite guitars are Schecters.
Okay.
So because we have an example here, this is a Schecter, okay?
Right.
This was a demo model of the lowest end Schecter you can get, and I was 16 when I bought this. And
that particular one.
I was 16, and what happened was I'm a huge fan of Avenged Sevenfold. So at the time I was an actual fanboy, and I wanted the guitar that he played in one music video because at the time he didn't have that model yet.
Right.
I wanted that one in his music video. So I picked it. I went there and he's like, I have one. It's called the Revenger model. It's a low end. It was matte black and everything was matte black. It was like super, super cheap. It was like $600. He's like, this is the demo model. I'll give it to you right now. And I was like, yes, let's do this. I took it home, played it. And then as soon as I plugged it in to the band that I was playing with, they were like, use only that guitar.
Right.
Because I was using the Epiphone before. They're like, use only that guitar. It sounds great. Over the years, it gave me a little bit of trouble, but it gave me less trouble than the Epiphone did. Like, I had to get that rewired, but that was just because of my stupidity of how I treated it. The Epiphone I treated a lot better. Right. I got older, stopped giving a shit, left it in the car overnight in, like, the winter. So that one I put through hell, and it's my main guitar now. That's why I painted it this way. I gave it my style to it. But Mastodon, the guitarist, I can't remember his name. He switched out because he was getting the same fucking problems. So he had the sponsorship deal, and
really,
yeah. Because Mastodon, they're big now, they're huge,
I guess.
So he kept having whenever he got a guitar from them, it was never to what he wanted. And he used to think I wasn't even asking for crazy things. He just wanted. At one point they didn't even put it in his own tuning, and that's like a standard. You're like, okay, we're gonna set it to your tuning and not to like a standard. So he would get them, and he would have so many problems with them. The ones that they would sell in the store, they weren't to his specifications. So what's the point of fucking putting his name on there? And he eventually just like, fuck this. And this isn't just him. There's been other talks in the industries. Like the CEO of Gibson is a piece of shit. He thinks of the guitars as electronic, consumer electronic. That's why he goes to CES and shows off a new Les Paul instead of NAMM, where you're supposed to show off instruments.
Right.
So he's thinking of them as like fucking gadgets instead of what they're meant to be, instruments. And I was just like, I felt validated because I was like, yes, because every time I say something about Gibson to other guitarists, they're like, no, you're an idiot. It's like, no, I've played these guitars. They're no better than if I went and got a Schecter at half the price.
But I feel like the guitarist of Mastodon has been saying a lot of shit lately. I don't remember about what, but not just like Gibson. So it was like,
It's possible. I haven't heard anything else, but this one I was like 100% because he switched out to ESP, which is what Metallica did in the early days. They had the Gibsons and they switched them to ESPs. They liked the look,
right?
So they made those guitars for them. But that was apparently that's what Metallica had problems with too. The Gibsons in the 80s weren't what they were, and to a degree, like, Gibson was having issues in the 80s as well, like just staying in business because people were going for the jagged edge, fucking metal looking guitars,
right?
To the point where Ace Frehley had like 5 or 6 69 Les Pauls, which were like the Gibsons with tags on them, and he got rid of them for dirt cheap because he thought, I'm just gonna have these guitars here for nothing. No one's buying them anymore, and they'd be worth like $1 million each now if he still had them. Yeah,
that's crazy.
So even he gave up on Gibson in the 80s for a little bit. So going with this, why I'm bringing it up is this is something that I've felt for years. I'm like, I really don't want to spend $2,000 on a Gibson and then never fucking play it. I can't do anything with it. Right. It's not my style. Like, they only give you 22 frets. You can buy some with the Floyd Rose on there, but they're complete shit. I don't even think they give you a case. I think you have to buy the case extra and whatever. And it's just not my go-to guitar. If I was gonna get a guitar and spend some real bucks on there, it would be kind of like this guitar. All right. This one cost me $1,000 straight up, and it was marked down because I had it super high up on the wall and nobody noticed it. And I had a list of 7 guitars, and I'll never forget this. I went into Steve's when I was 19, 20 years old, and Steve's, I was like, I have this list of 7 guitars, and he looks at me, he's like, you want to buy 7 guitars? I was like, no, I want to try some of them because I'm looking for the market, because I had a list of things that I wanted.
You want one of these 7.
One of these 7, and it's because they had the specifications that I was looking for. They didn't have any of them. I went to Ital Melody, and I was looking, and they didn't have any of the guitars on my list either. And then my bassist at the time was like, what about that one? He pulled it down. It had everything that I wanted. But the only thing it didn't have was a case. But it was $100 more to buy
the case. That's
this
one you're talking about.
That's this one. So I took it because it has everything that I wanted. It was like half the price of what I was willing to spend on it. And all I had to do was spend $100 for the extra case. And it's been, those 2 guitars are my main guitars forever. Now I'm looking for another guitar that has a certain pickup in it, but it's still a Schecter. So for Gibson to have this come out and like, hey, they're having quality control issues, and this fucking thing was ridiculous. For the newest guitar, it was $4,000 MSRP price on their website. It had a ding in it. And on the it was dented in the photo on their website.
Really?
Yeah. It's like they didn't even. It's clear as day. It's not like you have to zoom in. You could see it. And I was like, this is an actual quality control photo. How many people that had to go through that? Someone had to take that guitar, put it with a ding. Someone had to take the photo with a ding. Someone had to edit it with the ding. Someone had to post it with the ding, and nobody said anything. This isn't like a little thing. You could see it. It's like, who the fuck approved all this?
Maybe they're not hiring people that know anything about guitars.
It's very possible because the CEO thinks of it as a gadget.
As a gadget, right.
So I was just like, I felt vindicated. I was like, yes.
Well, your name is Vin.
I know, but this is like, it just, I felt dictated.
Right.
I felt dictated. So I wanted to bring that up. That Gibson.
Well, it's like at one point WWE like really went down, especially after the Attitude Era, because what they started doing is they started hiring, like in the wrestling industry they're called bookers. Every other industry they would be called writers.
Yeah.
So they started getting writers from like Hollywood and stuff that don't really know wrestling. Like, and it's one thing to say like, okay, well, we're fans, let's say, and we watch, but there's a whole other aspect like of like psychology that goes behind the whole I guess writing process.
It was like when Ellen DeGeneres was judging people's singing voices on fucking American Idol. Like, okay,
You're
so she listens to music.
Yeah.
So does everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so it was just like, see, she could be part of a part of a group maybe.
Yeah.
But it's like you need the actual people that
know what
that are in the industry,
yeah.
right? Anyways, so it's kind of like that same thing. Like, anyways, they don't really do that anymore. But now the issue that a lot of people have is that their promos in wrestling are scripted too. So they don't have the freedom like the older guys used to have, where they would just go on and if you were good on the mic, like they would notice you. Oh yeah, this guy's good on the mic. Now it's like there's a great example is the Miz. He's been there for I don't know, probably over 10 years. Things have been scripted for him. He does the job, and then they had this now on the network, the WWE network. They have this whole thing where it's like I don't know how to describe it. It's like after Raw or after SmackDown, where they have like a panel and they interview wrestlers.
Yeah.
This is a lot less scripted, and he just went off, and like the internet blew up and was like, "Holy shit, this guy's like amazing on the mic," and they took notice. So now they give him a little more freedom to be on the mic, and you know he seems more more interesting on the mic, being himself, just amping it up to 10.
So I wonder why they did. Like,
I don't know why they do that.
They keep scripting the stuff that I guess they created so they wouldn't be scripted. Like the commercials is what I'm assuming.
What do you mean the commercials?
So like where they used to give people the mic to free roam.
Oh right, yeah.
What were those called? The ads?
They're called promos.
Promo. Oh yeah, the promos.
Right.
Why
They call it cutting a promo.
Why would they start scripting the promo?
I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It's like maybe they had some bad experience with like some people just fucking up on the mic or whatever, but it's like, or they don't want them to derail because they have, we're not in the Attitude Era anymore, so they want people to be more restricted because of advertisers and God knows what. Who knows? Maybe
you think with these new like wrestling companies coming out of nowhere that it might go back to the Attitude Era?
There's times where I think but I think where society's going with how we're regressing in terms of like they call it politically correct.
Yeah.
Now in some aspects, like it's good that we're not bashing gays anymore. We're not bashing we're not being like racist anymore or whatever. But I think now we're going to a point where it's like we're going beyond this, and it's like, well, I don't like what you're saying. That offends me, and we're just getting to this point where I think we're regressing. Like how before we were constantly getting more and more what's the word, like shocking.
Yeah.
Now it's like we're going more and more backwards, kind of like we're gonna eventually get to like
Well, remember like 2 or 3 years ago we were outside Fuffs and I was talking Eminem. This is when we first understood that we all liked Eminem,
right?
At least between me and you.
Yeah.
Because I started rapping and got into a discussion about Eminem. And remember, I said like the only thing that like no one gets offended anymore. Like nothing's shocking. The next level is something that no one will do. And what I said was, it's like talking about raping babies or killing babies. And then everyone's like, that is the next level. And you're right. No one's gonna do that because that's not shocking. That's something completely fucking different. Now it's gone the other way.
It's going the other way.
Anything you could say now is offensive. So I'm like, holy shit! 3 years ago, I was like, this is never gonna be another thing. The shock rock is dead because no one gets shocked by anything anymore. We've heard everything. We've gotten accustomed to it. But now it's like, hey, you could say the same things that Eminem said 15 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And get some people really upset.
Yeah, and if he said stuff now, like they like, I mean, he upset people back then. They said it's disgusting. They said this, whatever. But you still had millions of people gravitate.
The difference was that it was the older generation, the 40-year-old, the parents who were upset. Now it's people like our age.
Yeah, or even younger, like
getting upset.
And I think this mob mentality. Like everybody just wants to get upset. It's like a calling out culture kind of thing that's developing, where it's like, I'm gonna call someone out, and that one person might legitimately be offended, just like he might have been offended even if it was 15 years ago or 16 years, whatever it was. But now the thing is, it's like, oh, well, I saw that guy get upset. I'm going to be upset too.
Yeah.
And so everybody just joins in. And now you have like, well, Twitter just blows up with everybody getting upset over this one thing that they probably wouldn't even normally be upset about, but they just happen to see it. And it's just, and I think that now we're just becoming this mob mentality of just let's get upset at everyone.
Well, the whole point
is everything.
The whole thing that caused this is just the internet. The fact that like everyone, like the people on the internet aren't a society that think the same. It's people are able to think the same will gravitate towards each other and stand by them. But it's not the entire internet.
No.
So that's definitely what causes, like, oh, I'm not the only one who thinks like this. Well, I'm going to stand by them, and this isn't right because I don't think it's right, and they don't think it's right, so you shouldn't fucking do it, and we're gonna dox you, and we're gonna shame you, and it's like, regardless of what side you're on, I don't think doxing or shaming is.
I'm gonna give an example of and this is something, I'm not gonna name names well, I could say this maybe off the air. In fact, not only am I not going to name names, I'm not even going to say the exact words so that this can't come back to us. But so there were two people, okay, that I know, and one of them was talking and says, "Oh, I'm not down with that." And the other guy's like, I don't like that term. Like, I don't like that term, like, down with that. He just said it like that in passing. Yeah. And the other person goes, "You're racist." And both of them are white right now. I want you to know this, okay? So let's make it a girl and a guy. So the guy's like, "You're racist," and she's like, "How am I racist? I just said I just don't like the saying. I'm not down with that." She's like, "Well, black people use that," and I heard this and I'm like, man, this is like even just the South, like it's slang from the South. It wasn't just black people that would say that. It was
yeah, like y'all.
That's like a word like that, and so it's like. And basically, long story short, he was just saying like, no, you're being racist. Like you shouldn't be you shouldn't say that. You don't like it. It's like, man, it's just a freaking saying. It has nothing to do. I'm not offending anyone. But anyways, it was a big deal, and then they just stopped talking. And they never spoke to each other again.
My God.
Over something stupid like this. And here's the thing. So she's the one. She's like maybe roughly my age, or maybe a couple of years younger. And him who was saying, you're being racist, he's, I think, 23. So it comes back to like this, I don't want to just lump millennials in it, but it's more common, I guess, amongst the younger generation saying, like, just finding things to get offended about and calling other people out on stuff that's like, man, how is that racist? Or it's like, I think I heard this on Rogan where they were talking about, you could be like so like left side, like support, let's say universal basic incomes, support, just a lot of social services.
Yeah.
But if there's one thing that you might say that is just slightly to the to the right, all of a sudden you're a Nazi. And it's like, what do you mean I'm a Nazi? I'm still politically on your side. Just one thing that I don't agree with, let's say on this side of the political scale. But you're calling me a Nazi. First of all, you know what even like a Nazi, first of all, is someone that was like racist and killed, Jews and all this. And it's like now like we're just throwing this word like freely, but we're also saying that, oh yeah, you're a right-wing Nazi. No, I'm not. I'm on that side, and vice versa. The other side is happening the same way. Like they could be so like really pro-capitalist and pro this and pro that, but then if they say something like, "Oh yeah, I think we should help," let's say the poor, like maybe we should make some sort. You're a left wing, like you're an elitist and blah blah blah, and like go with your socialism.
You're able to like just throw everyone on one side that you don't like, and then you just like write them off, which is fucking stupid because nobody thinks 100% on one way or the other, and the ones who do are usually fucking dumb. Like I don't know, I keep forgetting his name, but he's definitely a conservative guy who has a big talk show. He's been on Rogan several times. Starts with Bill, Bob, something like that.
Shapiro?
Ben
Shapiro.
Oh,
yeah, Ben Shapiro. Yeah.
So they had this one girl was coming on about who was arguing with him about gender identity stuff, and he's just like, "No, you're an idiot." And she was like, "No, gender is one in your mind, and your sex. They're separate." He's like, "No, it isn't. It's like, what if I decide to identify as someone who's 60?" And she's like, "But you can't." He's like, "Exactly, you can't." And she's like, she's still not understanding the difference.
Right.
So I could see it. It's like you just want to believe whatever you want to believe. Forget about that. To the point where I'm just starting to say, for anything conspiracy wise or stupid like that, it's like, well, math doesn't exist.
Well, see, this is the thing. Like, I associate more on the left side than the right side.
So do I. Yeah.
But Ben Shapiro, who's a right wing, politically and everything, he doesn't come across as someone that is like an idiot and just one-sided. Like he has good arguments. I might not agree with it all, but he has good arguments.
That's what I'm looking for. And I may not be like-minded politically,
right?
But I'm looking for an argument that's all right. It's an actual argument. It's not just throwing someone under the bus or attacking them. And he's been called a Nazi too, and he's fucking Jewish.
Yeah, that's another thing.
It's like, dude, it doesn't go hand in hand here, all right? Like, you can't just call someone a Nazi because they don't agree with you.
Maybe they thought Shapiro was an Italian name.
I don't know. And then, you were talking about the metoo hashtag for this week. Now, I don't see any problem with it at all. I don't see no problem with that movement, and I think it's like, for the most part, I think it's a cool, like a great thing for women to come out and say like, yeah, me too. But on the other end of the spectrum, I have seen people, even people on my Facebook, like being catcalled once is like, it's harassment. It's like, okay, I see where you're coming from, but does that mean that I can put #MeToo whenever a girl came up and touched my hair without like asking, or they came up and catcalled me, because this has happened to me before? Does that mean it's the same thing? Because if you want to equate it to the same thing, then we're all Me Too, and that no longer means that what you were trying to bring awareness to how many girls get like harassed, because then I can say that I was harassed.
I get what you're saying. You're saying, but you look at it this way, okay? Let's pretend. Let's change it. Let's pretend girls were black, and now you're white. Do you think that you saying that, let's say you getting harassed by a cop would be the same thing as a black person saying they got harassed by cops? Because with them, it's a little bit more different. They probably get harassed by cops way more, whereas you might have had 1-2 incidents, right? So this is where I'm saying,
that's
like,
where I want to separate.
It kind of, yeah, but we're male, so yeah, we might have had these incidents where we might have felt uncomfortable, but I'm sure girls get this way more.
And that is what I mean. That's actual harassment, getting it all the time. But the things that I've seen is just like Me Too. This one time I was at a bus stop and a guy catcalled me. Like that's not the whole point of the Me Too thing. There's harassment and abuse, and then there's being catcalled once, and you can't like. It wasn't the several over and over and over again. Is what I'm talking about.
Right.
Like
okay.
One time where they were saying, "Oh yeah, this happened to me once."
But I think the Me Too wasn't just about the cat.
It wasn't. It was
that's about rape and all that sexual assault, right?
That's why but it devolved into I was catcalled once, and it didn't fall in line with it at all with the whole point of it was, right? And it's like, all right, well, if you could say Me Too, then so can I. And right. I'm not. This isn't at all a hit at like you shouldn't be put hashtagging Me Too, whatever. No, it's a great movement, but I also think you should. If you're a girl and you really haven't experienced something like that, or it's similar to my experiences where I do go and have women talk in front of me about like how good looking I am, back and forth. It's like, isn't that if it was two guys doing it into a girl, you'd
doesn't
be
that
like,
feed your ego?
It does feed my ego, and I have absolutely no fucking problems with it.
Right.
But the situation, the situation, take the context out of it. Put the context into it where it's one girl and two guys are talking about how hot she is without being involved in the conversation. Would the girl consider that harassment? So if she does, and I can see that being harassment, shouldn't I be able to say the same thing too, regardless of how it feeds my ego? I enjoy it. I fucking love it to death. But that doesn't mean that it's not harassment, because technically, if you're gonna put that under the definition, then I can too.
Not necessarily. Harassment is also if it makes you
unwelcome or unwanted comments.
Exactly,
or
but if it's feeding your ego and you saying you like it, then it's not harassment.
But who are they to know that it'll feed my ego? Look, you might over time you might hear about me getting like my ego being big or whatever. That's fine. But if you never knew me, and this has happened before where they didn't know me at all, it was.
Okay, you're straight. What if it was two gay guys that were rambling?
That's happened too.
Or grabbing your ass. Let's put it that way.
I don't really. Okay, so.
Now this is not saying like I know you don't hate gays.
No.
But the fact that like you don't swing that way, it's unwanted.
Yeah, it's
right?
definitely unwanted.
So how would that make you feel? It grabs your ass, and let's say this is happening on a daily basis at work, or maybe not even daily basis. Could be even once a week. You're gonna start feeling like annoyed, and you know that you can't do shit about it.
That is harassment. The repetition of it. If a gay guy were to come up and grab my ass once and be like, "Oh hi," I'd be like, "Listen, bruh, I don't swing that way, but thank you." And I'd be like, "Gay guys like me," but no. It would really depend on the situation, man. Because if it's once, or they're two gay guys are talking about like good looks and whatever, I really would be like, well, whatever. I'm not gonna just suddenly want to suck your dick,
Right.
I'm not. It would just feed my ego even more, but it wouldn't make me swing that way. I don't really have a problem with that.
Yeah.
If it was like I was being attacked by gay guys on a street, And then I'd be like, what the fuck? Yeah, then that'd be harassment. But at the same time, I think if girls were just come out of nowhere and start like harassing me for like, oh my God, I'd probably call that harassment too. But we're guys, so it shouldn't be harassment at that point.
Well, one thing that's interesting is that, this kind of comes back to what we were saying about how there's a bit of ignorance and people are just following things. But this is maybe on the other end. So this Me Too thing, I heard girls saying that it's stupid. And I was like, well, why is it stupid? And they're like, I don't know, like, so what? Like, you got, like, you're just saying that you got harassed or whatever. I'm like, it's not just that. This is making aware to the public that there is a lot of...
It's more often than everyone thinks.
It's more often than everyone thinks, and that this is a problem. Like, it's not just getting harassed. It's getting... There's sexual assault. There is... employers might say holding jobs over your head for not, let's say, if you don't have sex or whatever. Like, so this stuff that we think is not common is happening more and more. And actually not happening more often. It has been happening for years.
For years, like people kept quiet.
Like a Weinstein.
Like Weinstein. So like I've heard people talk saying like, oh, why, like the Bill Cosby thing. Why did it take them so long to come out? But at the same time, it didn't take that long. It didn't take 20 years for it to come out. The one who was the biggest proponent of it was Rose McGowan, and she like sued him and everything in like the early 2000s because it was like attempted rape or rape, I can't remember, but this was, if you go online you can find out stuff from years and years ago that women made claims to this too, just nobody paid attention. And it only came out now because of a New York Times article that like it was an expose, and they got a whole bunch of people at the same time to say it, which brought it up. So this wasn't the first time you hear about it. You've heard about it before, you just weren't aware of it. And that's...
But it's also the fact, I think, and the other thing about this Me Too is that it's also the bringing awareness to it all, that a lot of times girls don't report it.
Yeah.
Because the times where they do report it, like I know someone, friend of the family that was raped, and even though went to court and everything, the 2 or 3 guys that were involved in this thing got nothing. And because it was basically, at the end of the day, her word against theirs, and the argument was, well, she accepted it, like she accepted this, like there was consent. But it's like you're so it's like I don't know, like and apparently this happens more often than not. So because we don't have the proof. So I think now with this Bill Cosby, this Weinstein, now even Just for Laughs, I don't know his name.
All those 3 guys,
and they're all getting.
You know what's fucked up to me a little bit, but at the same time not really. You see all these guys online who will say like, oh, why they dress like this, or they wanted it, they're lying about it, they want to make money, yada yada yada. Same thing from all these guys. The one thing I've never seen. Or actually, it's like it's the opposite from these guys is bikers, where bikers will be like, fuck those guys. They totally fucking did it. It has nothing to do with the way those women dressed. Bikers, and I'm talking about 1%ers, who will always be on the side of the woman when they see that shit, who will shame fucking like rapists and stuff, even just alleged rapists, just because of it. Right. And they're supposed to be the guys that you don't want to fuck with, that like they're dangerous, put them in prison, they should be killed and shot and whatever. Those guys are the ones who are like...
proponents
of that, but they give respect, and they see that the people who will kill people for getting in their way are the ones who will stand by women the most. And because I've seen this.
Why is that?
I don't know why that is. Probably because they're very looking at it from an outside view, for 1% bikers, the women are their property type of thing. However, they treat them with so much fucking respect. They have the most respect, and they're the most loyal people I've ever met in my life. When I used to play for bikers, they paid the best. They made sure you were super fucking comfortable. Nobody messed with you. Even if you do have some people who are drunk bikers who come and aren't necessarily a part of the group, but they're invited, who might want to cause some shit, but nobody fucks with you if you're an invited guest of the group.
Right.
And they were the most respectful people. They spoke purely French to me, but they understood that I would have some issues understanding French, and they gave no fucking shit about it. Very, very polite, very respectful, and they always wanted you to come back. I remember finishing up a 4-hour set one night, and a biker came up to me. He's like, "Hey man, how much would it be for you to come play at my place, like another party like this?" And I was like,
same night?
No, a different night, a planned thing. And I'm like, "Oh, I don't have to talk to the band, but depending on where it is, maybe $500." He's like, "I'll give you 1,200."
Jesus.
I was like, "Get the fuck out of here." I was like, "Yeah, you whatever however long you want us to play, we'll fucking do it." And what happened? He was super, super upset. He just loved me. The other guys, he was friends with them, but he didn't like what went down. And he was like, "It's all you." I still go to some other shows. When I was out of a job, he made sure that I got some gigs to set up stages so I can get some money. He will, like, those guys are the most respectful, and they will protect women and call out the like idiots who harass women.
Who harass them, right?
Which is funny to me because the other guys who are saying that they're saints and, you know, like all these women want it and whatever. Fuck you, man. I'm gonna trust these guys more than I will ever trust you in my life.
Well, I think it also comes down to the fact that there are a lot of, I guess the whole biker club is like a brotherhood, right?
It is a brotherhood.
So they already have that mentality to begin with. So they just bring it in to, you know, if I'm inviting you, you might not be part of their group or their clique, but the fact that you're invited to, then it's like, even if it's like, well, okay, well, if so and so invited you, then yeah, you're cool. Then that means you're cool to be at this party. You're good enough. Like, we respect you. And blah, blah, blah.
Well, exactly. And some of the I've seen some crazy shit with them, but I was never a part of it.
Right.
Like, I was just seeing it. And those biker gangs, they've never killed anybody, right? I don't know what they're into, and I'm not gonna say that they are into anything, but they are definitely that biker mentality, the brotherhood. Like, their women are there, they're their women, but they just want you to, when you're caught in a circle with them and they're giving you shots, you don't leave that circle. Like, you're there and you're drinking shots with them for however long they want you there. So
if they want to see you like, pass out,
I had one to be crazy. Like, there was one guy who was stabbed while we were playing Master of Puppets. Cops came, they shut down the show, but I've never gotten such a crowd reaction. That was my first really crazy crowd reaction. It was at playing a thing called Bike Week, where you had all these old guys who'd never seen you before, and they were all right for like the first song, but as soon as like we were into Master of Puppets and the solo came in, like I remember gearing up for them, and these guys are like, and as soon as the came in, and they went fucking mad, dude. I was like, yes, that's what I wanted. Crazy. And then some guy gets stabbed and everything, so it was cool. But
well, you didn't want to be caught in the mosh pit.
Caught in the mosh, dude. Caught in the mosh.
Yeah.
What other things fucking happened this week?
I don't know. We're running a bit out of time.
We are?
Which is unfortunate because I feel like it's going all right. One thing I wanted to say, I went, like one of the reasons I wasn't there last week was I went hiking.
Yeah. How did that go?
Dude, it was, you know, like I live in the city. I love the city. But there's something about just climbing like the mountain and just being in this like nature shit. Like, even if it's not your element, somehow it becomes your thing. And like, I know it was tiring and exhausting. Like, man, I was sweating. Like, it's October and there I wasn't like in a tank top going through this thing. But like, if I had better shoes, I think it would have been also easier, because my shoes like going downhill, like slipping on rocks, but there was a lot of like jumping and climbing, and like especially the first 10 minutes, I'm thinking in my head, man, I'm feeling the burn in my thighs. I'm like, how the fuck am I gonna last like 5 hours of this shit? But I did, and somehow I don't know, it just kicks in, and it's like almost
second wind, man.
Probably I don't know what it is, but it's like, and it almost feels like this is where we belong. Like, not necessarily climbing mountains, but just being in that whole environment. And it was cool to see also like all like the different leaves and shit, and posted a picture on Instagram about that. You know. But anyways, no, it was anyways, just to say it was a lot of fun. Now, on the way there, or I thought maybe I was gonna have to use my credit card to get a pass. Turns out it was like for free, so, and I didn't go back to the car because I was with Kelly. So I put my card in my hoodie. I also had my Medicare card in my hoodie. when I'm done and I get home, I'm like, shit, man. I have my Medicare card. Where the fuck is my credit card? So I got home. I searched my bags. I searched everywhere. I go back in my hoodie, check the pockets. It's not there. It's nowhere. I'm like, motherfucker, I have to cancel my card. So now my card is canceled. It's causing me a whole fucking problem because like the gym tries to charge me like my monthly payment. It didn't go through. So they tell me, oh, you also have a penalty fee and blah blah blah. I'm like, motherfucker. Anyways, I finally do my fucking laundry. So I go take whatever's out. There was a Kleenex pack in my thing, in my hoodie, and that's where my fucking credit card was. I'm like, are you shitting me?
Oh my god! And you know what's funny about this? I sent you a prank about a credit card.
I forgot about that. So I'm minding my own business. I forget what I was doing. I'm walking, and I get a call. Yeah, there's some fraud activity. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, man, this sounds like a total fucking like scam. It's a Siri's voice. And I'm like, I canceled my card. But there has been a fraud activity. I'm like, fuck that.
And so I messaged you after, and I was like,
I didn't get it. I was confused. I'm like, what do you mean I'm pranked?
Yeah, because I was like, I sent the prank. What? Like, what do you mean? It's like, I sent you the credit card thing was the prank. He's like, oh, well, because I actually did lose my car. It's like, oh my god, Armin, I got Armin. He was the best. He knew right away, but he kept playing along, and. We'll put the audio in there. It's fantastic. I like to eat, motherfucker.
Well, yeah, and when I was listening to that audio, I'm like, I can tell that's Vin. Just there was one sentence you said, and it was like
I didn't say anything. It was all pre-recorded.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the way it was said, it was like that's Vin. But maybe it's just because at this point I knew. Maybe.
Oh man, no, it wasn't me. It was a website that I'll show you after. Wow. It's fantastic. All right, so I think that's the end of this one.
Yeah.
We're gonna close out 43 with. Final confessions.
Hiking is fun. People should try it out. Maybe go with like better shoes or whatever if you can.
The Subaru
shoes. And I think I don't know. It was good. I learned something about Gibson.
Yeah. My final confessions. Listen to me about guitars once in a while. Gibson. Nah.
Listen to Vin.
Me too. Women who have actually been harassed. I understand it. Well, not really, but I get where that movement's coming from, and that's awesome. Other women who get called out once.
I don't think they get called out once. I think it's more than that.
It could be more. But I can say the same thing about myself. Also, credit card scams. Don't always fall for them. And that's the news for this week.
That's the news.
I only got a couple of words to
and
say
it starts with an S.
See ya,
motherfucker!
I like to eat, motherfucker.
Worldwide. Dilligaf.